Okay, I'm going to do the I do for the top and the bottom. So I'm going to do number 1 and number 4 with you. No, number 4 and number 5. Number 4 is really easy. It's already solved for y. It's already in y equals. Number 5 is not, so we would have to solve for y. Write that down. Okay, but before we start on that, problem number 1 gave you a table. Okay, it gave you a table, so we know that we need to put it in stat. And I don't know if it's linear or quadratic, so we're just going to do stat calc 5. Okay, because they gave you more than 2 points. And it's asking, what does the slope and the y-intercept represent in the table on the right? So now, because it's asking for slope and y-intercept, I know that it's going to be linear. But if you don't know that, that's fine. We're still going to do stat calc 5, and you'll notice that it's going to be linear. So we're going to go ahead and put this in stat, enter. So everybody have your calculator ready. Stat, enter. And we're going to put those numbers in there. So I have 2, enter, 4, enter, 6, 8, and 10. Go to the other side. Make sure that you have L1 and L2. If you don't have L1 and L2, pause the video. You need to clear it and get your L1 and your L2. 45, enter, 65, enter, 85, 105, and 125. Okay, again, it's more than 2 points, so I can do stat, arrow over to calc, 5, enter. Okay, and this is how you know that it's linear, because your A is 0. So if I put a 0 here, the x squared goes away. There is no x squared. So it's linear. I have y equals 10x plus 25. Y equals 10x plus 25. So let's write that down right here. Okay, so now you know that the slope is 10. That's the slope. And that the y-intercept is a positive 25. Okay, slope is the m is 10. And the y-intercept is the b is 25. If you want to write that down, you can. M equals 10, b equals 25. Okay, so every time that you add, it says the weight increases by how many pounds per number of plates added. So this is, every time I add a new plate, it goes up by 10. So I'm going to say that the weight increases by 10 pounds per 1 plate. So every 1 plate that I add, I'm adding 10 pounds. Right here, they added 2 plates. So this should be 20 pounds because each plate is 10 pounds. Okay, and the y-intercept is how much it starts with. So it started with 25 pounds. That's the bar by itself without any weights. Okay, that's how you're going to do number 2 and number 3. So you need to get the equation first in Stat Calc 5. Write down the equation and fill in the blank statements. Okay? At the bottom, number 5, we got to solve for y, just like I mentioned right now, so that we can figure out what the slope is, the y-intercept, the 0, and all of that good stuff. Again, this one's already ready, so I know that m equals 4 and b equals -3, so you can fill out the rest of it. You can also put this equation in y equals trace, okay, and figure out the rest of this. Number 5, we need to solve for y. Okay, so let me rewrite it first. I have 2x minus 5y equals 15. Okay, the first thing you need to do is move the x over, change the sign. And then look at that number, that's a -5, so divide everything by -5. Don't change the sign, okay? So that gives me y equals 15 divided by -5 in the calculator gives you -3. And -2 divided by -5 in the calculator, math enter, gives you a positive 2/5 x. Okay? So now I know that my slope is the number next to the x, so my slope is 2/5. And my b, my y-intercept, is the one without the x, that's -3. And you can fill it in right here as well. What is the slope? It's a positive 2/5. What is the y-intercept? It's a -3. Okay? What is the 0? You can find the 0 on the graph. And what is f of 3? That's your x. They're saying when x is 3, what is y equal to? Okay, so we can find that also in the graph. So let's go put this equation in y equals trace, and let's go find these other two answers. -3x plus 2/5. Oops, clear it. It's -3 plus 2/5 x. Trace. Okay, so again, I know that this is a positive slope. I know that this is the y-intercept, -3. And I also know that my 0 is somewhere over here. I can see it. So we're going to start guessing some numbers that looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 8. 8, enter. No, that's too much. What about 7? Enter. No, that's too far back. So what about in the middle? 7.5, enter. Yes. So 7.5 is my 0. Write that down. 7.5 is the 0. Okay, because it's the x-intercept. That's one of the roots. That's the solution. There's tons of names for it. And then it said to also find f of 3. So press 3, enter, and see what it gives you. That's all they're asking, okay? When they say f of 3, this is what they mean. X equals 3, so what's the y equal to? So my y equals -1.8. Write that down. So let's see. Right here, I'm going to put that my 0 is at 7.5. And that when x is 3, my y equals -1.8. So you're going to do the same thing for number 4, and you're going to do the same thing for number 6. On the back, now we have graphs, and they gave you pretty points, so it could be easy if you just make a table out of some of those points. So, like this one right here is 0, 50. Okay, the next point right here is 155. And let's just get one more point. 2 is 60. Okay, and you could have used any of these points. It doesn't have to be the ones that I picked. And then we're going to do Stat Calc 5. And we're going to get the equation, and we're going to answer these questions based on the equation and the graph. So remember, we're talking about, it says below is a graph showing the money earned for every customer in tips. Okay, so we're talking about a barber, tips for the barber, how much money he earns, and the customers. So for instance, 0 customers, he still gets paid. Why? Because he works at a barber shop and somebody's paying him this money, right? 1 customer. So now he got an extra what? $5? So now he's getting paid $55 for 1 customer. Okay, 2 customers. That's an extra $5. So now he gets paid $60. So that's what you're going to answer down here, these questions, once you get the equation in StatCalc 5.